on the dance floor, dancing. Totally living for myself because, well, that's what happens when I dance. When suddenly I feel a tap on my shoulder. And when I turn around, I see this tall, lanky guy with a baseball cap and a backpack, and he immediately shows me the screen of his cell phone, and it says, "My friend wants to know if he can give you a kiss." Now, I gotta tell y'all, that's not how I usually meet men. Usually, when I meet a guy, there's this level of circumstance, reaction. I see him. He sees me. I think he's attractive. He thinks he can find me attractive. I smile suggestively. Let's be real, he's thinking about what it'd be like to be with a guy in a wheelchair. I look away bashfully. And when I do, either two things will happen. First, either one of us will work up the courage to go say hello, or two, it'll fall into a long and endless list of unmemorable moments that lead to nowhere. But surprisingly, this guy has his cell phone in my face asking me if I'll suck face with his friend. And I don't know if it's because it's totally bucking the trend that I'm used to, or the fact that I'm also thinking, dude, is this middle school? That I'm just like, no. Guy shrugs, walks away. A couple of shock tops later, I find myself asking, why did I say no? And beer consciously, of course, this isn't making any sense. But subconsciously, I know why. And I have to admit, when it comes to my framework for love and dating, it is heavily influenced by films. Films written by the great Nora Ephron and star Meg Ryan as the leading romantic protagonist. So yes, I have an infatuation of what could possibly occur in When Harry Met Sally, of starting a casual friendship with someone and it leading to one of the greatest How We Met stories ever told. Or even what happens in You've Got Mail. I meet someone online, after a couple of months of witty exchanges, we arrange to meet, and I end up on the right side of a catfish scenario. Or even what happens in Sleepless in Seattle, where with a little bit of luck, fate, and magic, I meet my one and only special someone on Valentine's Day on the top of the Empire State Building. So yes, I have the expectations of a 20-year-old girl from films that were written for women who are now in their 40s and 50s. But a boy can dream, right? And I guess it's with that I end up going looking for the tall, lanky guy with a baseball cap and a backpack, and when I find him, I see him standing next to this very attractive guy with a beard, glasses, ideal eyebrow thickness, a couple of visible tattoos, waving hello. So I approach, and I extend my hand, and I say, "Hi, my name's Adrian," and he shakes it. But then he starts fumbling through his pockets, and he takes out his cell phone, and he starts typing, and I'm like, dude, what is with the cell phone dependency? When suddenly he shows me his screen, and the words that I read are, "Hi, my name's Vinny. I'm deaf." And just like that, it's making complete sense to me. And because I have some experience with reasonable accommodations, I too take out my cell phone and I start to get to know him. First, he shares that he's single, which in this town's like, swipe right. Then he shares that he's a tattoo artist, which totally floods my basement. But then he shares that he's from San Francisco and he's in town visiting friends for the weekend, and just like that, I'm like, yo, girl, bye. But he's like, nah, girl, hi. And even after I've dismissed him and said, hey, enjoy DC and your friends, he has the audacity to go look for me on the dance floor and, ask for my phone number, if he can get a picture with me, but more importantly, yo, what about my kiss? And after I give him my digits and let him take a glamour shot with me, I ended up letting him kiss me, right on the cheek. And we said goodnight, at least physically, because I ended up texting him all through Friday night into Saturday, and I continued to get to know more about him. He shared as a tattoo artist that he likes to tattoo mostly in black and gray. He has a pet snake, and he likes to feed it mice. And he likes husky guys and tight jeans, which is completely coincidental because I have nothing but black and gray tattoos all over my upper body. I'm not a fan of vermin and rodents. And I have a subscription to Amazon Prime. And it's at dinner on Saturday night with my friends that I am just totally gushing about him, and they're just like, you really need to see him again. I'm like, I don't know, when suddenly I get a text message and it's him, and he's like, hey, what are you doing tonight? I'm like, going to a dance with friends, and he's like, where at? I'll meet you there. And when he shows up, he gives me the biggest bear hug. And we move over to the bar adjacent to the dance floor, and I continue to get to know more about him. And we order a shot of Goldschlager, and it's in between getting that shot of Goldschlager up until a point that we legitimately start communicating again, that we end up sucking face for a very long while. But during intermission, he takes out his cell phone and starts typing, and he shows me his screen, and the words that I read are, so, are we going over to your place, or are you coming over to my friend's house? Now, I gotta tell you all, that's not something that I would do. I mean, that's just not me. But, of course, Meg Ryan never takes the gentleman home after the first encounter. But I'm also weighing my options, right? Like, I've lived in the DC area long enough to know that a majority of the houses in this area are not wheelchair accessible. But I'm also considering the fact that if I take him home, I'll be at the mercy of my very judgmental roommate, and there's just no time for that. But I'm also considering the fact that with my experience with reasonable accommodations, it would be incredibly unreasonable to send this guy home alone. So, excuse me for being trapped by logic. Fuck my roommate. I ended up taking him home with me. And it's in the metro elevator up to my apartment that he grabs me by my cheeks of my face. Looks me straight in the eyes and mouths, "You are so cute." That totally melts my heart. And it's there in that metro elevator, reeking of urine. That I'm thinking, oh my God, am I Meg Ryan? So I have to tell you, he did spend the night, and for someone that's not required to use their lips and tongue for communication, he was an exceptional kisser. But I also have to warn you, don't underestimate a deaf person's ability to use their vocal cords, because when in the act, you could possibly get surround sound. I wake up the next morning, go into the kitchen, start preparing some coffee, and I'm greeted by my lovely roommate, who also happens to be my twin brother. And he has a smile on his face, and I'll admit, it's not like I was expecting a bro 5 or anything, but I did smile when he mouthed, "You are a fucking whore." I didn't tell him that Vinny couldn't hear him anyways. I didn't let that kill my day, though. I ended up taking Vinny back to Union Station and getting him on a cab back to his friend's place. And 2 days later, I met him at the airport with a note thanking him for a wonderful weekend, but more importantly, because, as Harry says in the film, you take someone to the airport, it's clearly the beginning of a relationship. And I said I'd see him soon. And we kept in touch. We sent emails, Facebook messages, text messages, Instagram photos. It was like a modern day version of You've Got Mail, and I got incredibly excited every time I got a message from him, but more importantly because I got to know more about him. But after a couple of months, those messages started coming few and far between. And I became incredibly anxious because of my attachment, and I became incredibly paranoid because, well, it's not like I could pick up a phone and call. So I willed myself in front of my computer and I started typing, "Hey, I know we talked about me coming out to San Francisco to visit you. I'm just wondering, should I come out?" And it took him 2 days to respond. And he said, "Hi, I would love to see you, but you might need to get a hotel because my apartment isn't wheelchair accessible. But I also think you should know that I started seeing someone. I don't know if that would be strange." And when I read those words, I felt like a bomb went off of my ears, and the ringing was forcing me simply to stare at that screen. And for the first time in my life, I experienced a level of heartburn that I had never experienced before. I have to tell you, it took me a while to get over him, or at least the idea of him. In fact, it took a friend lending me a book on attachment, a couple of TED Talks, and a conversation with my twin brother in which he said, "Bro, it wouldn't have mattered the outcome. You're still a fucking whore." That totally changed my perspective. But I think the most disappointing part was the fact that I wasn't actually Meg Ryan. I mean, yeah, I didn't meet him on Valentine's Day on the top of the Empire State Building, and we didn't arrange to meet in the center of Riverside Park. And of course, my Harry didn't come and collect me on the dance floor on New Year's Eve. But I'm okay with that, because, well, there's still the thought of someone. But until then, I'm gonna continue dancing and totally living for myself because, well, that's what happens when I dance.